people who are here. We're expecting a couple of others who will be showing up. Treasurer Linda Allen will be joining us shortly in person, she said. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly supported. Any discussion? No? All right, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we'll skip back to Linda when she arrives. Marketing, promotions, and communications. Our chair of the committee is not able to attend today, so maybe for the sake of people who weren't part of our subcommittee, Richard, would you mind giving us just a little bit of a update for everyone of what we've done in our meeting?
Subcommittee being the Main Streets Committee?
Yep.
Good meeting, first meeting. I met at the Container, the Welcome Center. People in attendance were Rich, Virgil, myself, and Deidre.
Linda.
And Linda, sorry, Linda. We're pursuing being qualified on the Michigan Main Streets program, and I think the most progress we made in that meeting was to try to know who we are in the DDA district, and Virgil took that on as creating a database so that we can share what we know, learn what we don't know, that sort of thing, community outreach and inclusion. A lot of other good things that aren't coming to mind right now because I didn't prepare to present here today. But
You gave us a very clear agenda when you sent it to us.
yeah, well, I have it,
an agenda,
and I can bring it up and read it to you.
Yeah.
Are we,
I don't know if there's anything significant that you're missing,
all right, well, good.
because that was the main thing is we were putting together
Yeah.
the meeting so that we can move forward with the
Yeah.
communication piece.
Yeah.
And I think we set in place some of the things that we're going to do to make that happen. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
The only other thing maybe to add would be that we did do a brief webinar through MEDC for the Michigan Main Streets program. That information is available. So for Roger, if you'd be interested, we can forward the link to.
Great.
Okay. So I'll make a note of that.
I'll just take a moment of this time that I guess I have to say if there's any room at the end, which there probably isn't. I've just got a few bullet points I'd like to run through just as concerns or interests that we'd probably all share.
Okay. Where are we then? So the CSEP is still on hold. We're still working out what's going to happen to get the issues resolved with the building that Art mentioned. We need to take care of before we can have a person come in and help us out with things. Also, I should say, because it belongs in here somewhere, that I met with a person, Jennifer Nallen Boyers, came to talk with us about volunteering with the DDA, and she's very interested in helping to staff the Welcome Center on Saturdays, so that Virgil, you could have some, maybe coordinate with her and have some relief for some Saturdays, or she can come in later, or so that if we can extend hours or whatever makes sense.
Has she did it before some other day? Has she been there before?
No.
She was there with me and learned about what to do and
Okay.
how we
That's
do
what I was
things. So she's prepared. I thought she might come today just to say hello and see what we're doing. But just another person adding another person to the schedule would be helpful. I'm not sure what Commissioner Edwards' schedule allows him to do these days, but we are a little bit short in the schedule overall. So after the meeting, maybe you and I could talk after you're done with your appointment, if you have time. Then we'll figure out what makes sense for you and your plans for the coming days for staffing. Deidre is not here. Moving on. She just replied to a text saying she's not available. Deidre met with another person who was volunteering, Denise, got my last name all of a sudden, who is an event planner, who's she ran Navy Pier for a number of years in Chicago. She and her husband moved to the area and they've been looking for something to do. So she offered her services to the Downtown Development Authority.
It sounds like the lady we met.
Yes, Denise,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So she and Deidre have met to talk about the idea of doing events. Deidre had some ideas and was talking with Kat at the library about doing some sort of a barbecue event. But other than that, I'm not up to date on what they have done as far as working on any details. So hopefully we'll have something to go on for the next meeting. We don't have Jerry here. So Planning Commission update. I believe I sent out an email to you with the link and a notice for July 25th, next Tuesday. The Planning Commission will be holding a town hall here at the City Commission chambers to talk with people about the plan draft that is now out, the 70% draft. That draft is available on the city's website under the Planning Commission tab. And I encourage people who are not here, who may be seeing us, to look it up. It's 208 pages, a lot to go through, but there are some strategies and different maps and other important visual data that's been added to the last draft. So there's plenty to see there. And if people would prepare ahead of time before the 25th with any kind of suggestions or questions about the draft, that would be great, because the following week, on August 1st, the Planning Commission will be discussing the draft and any suggestions for updating it. And at that point, it seems as though we probably will be seeing if the planning commissioners are ready to move forward with it, adopting it for comment and making an official comment period along with the city commission. So that our meeting, the planning commission meeting, will be August 1st here in the chambers, and then the city commission will have it to discuss and consider at their next meeting on August 7th. Following that, there will be a 63-day official comment period where not only Benton Harbor residents and stakeholders can comment, but where people who are in the region can comment. Our neighboring municipalities will have an opportunity to take a look at the plan and see how it coordinates with their plans, and to avoid conflicts along the city limits between plans. And the county, of course, will also take a look at it, and they will send us their comments. After that period, then we'll hopefully be in a position to adopt the master plan in the fall, and move forward with the zoning ordinance, which will be the next thing that gets updated. So lots of work going on there, and still lots of opportunity for people to weigh in and add their 2 cents. So with that, I will ask Mr. Little, please, if you have an update for us.
Well, just generally, everything seems to be moving rather rapidly now. As you know, a lot of the funding activity that's taking place at the federal as well as the state level is centered around the availability of the ARPA money that has deadlines associated with it. Basically being that it has to be, projects have to be 80% funded and moving forward by September 30 of 2024, and it all has to be spent by September 30, I believe it is, 2026. So as a consequence, sort of as I expected, as it's getting closer to that time, there's more and more being pushed out in terms of funding opportunities, but it also creates a problem for us in terms of capacity to respond as rapidly as it's coming up. We are pursuing funding in the areas of EV charging and charging stations, broadband and fiber optics, and in the area of housing in general. I will mention that we have been notified that the financing has been approved for the corner Wall Street project, and that will be getting underway in the not too distant future. We're still waiting to hear back on Project T. I am working with University of Michigan and MML and putting together a plan to make use of the pattern homes opportunity, and I think you saw in the 70% plan a number of those homes illustrated in there, along with whatever incentives we're able to package coming from the state and if any from the feds, and looking at making use of the many city-owned lots that we've been acquiring to help incentivize the construction of new homes. We're basically looking at some replacement for some of the low-income housing, but mostly workforce housing and middle-income housing to start to rebuild the city's working workforce, as well as its tax base and its housing stock, and all are critically important. So along with that, Ox Creek is moving along. We are working with HUD as that $3 million congressional allocation is coming through the HUD Economic Development Office out of Washington. So we're working with them on the environmental review that has to be done for the whole project. And we've been advised that we should do the environmental review in such a manner that it picks up everything else that's associated with that project. It was one of the concerns that we had because there are various pieces of funding that are going together. This is a very complex project. Probably will require around $20 million to be completed. And we are rapidly moving in the direction of getting the funding together on it. We have under consideration at present another congressional allocation. We have received nearly $1 million allocation from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. We just were advised day before yesterday that a high water grant of approximately $400,000 has been approved that will deal with restoration of habitat and the impact of rising lake levels and so forth, not only on Ox Creek, but also through Paw Paw River and St. Joe River as it impacts down on the Riverview Drive area. We have also 2 or 3 other grants that have been made to assist that project. Some of them are going to come through the state, some of them are going to come through other components of this. As you know, we've got quite a collaboration of partners working on this project. University of Michigan is involved, Eagle, DNR, various divisions of Eagle are involved in it. The Drain Commission is going to be involved, and the township is going to be involved in it. EPA, the regional office of EPA is involved in working in assistance and is also providing some funding. There are a number of other players, so I won't get into all of them, but the project is really picking up steam, and we're thrilled about it. So that's just about what I want to mention at the moment. We are, as I may have said, pursuing funding related to EV chargers, broadband, and fiber optics. Some other, we've got the Spark grant for $1 million that's going to be getting underway, but that also is basically at the moment slowed while we do this environmental review because HUD wants us to include all of these projects in that review. And since they all have separate NEPA requirements, we can do that. We've got a person that's going to be assisting us with doing this that has 15 years or more experience in trying to do it properly. So we'll be getting that done, trying to get underway on it as soon as possible. So that is about where we are. I'm just trying to think of something else.
Just a question, Mr. Little.
Yes.
You mentioned HUD
Yes.
involved in the Ox Creek project.
Yes.
Are they in town and also looking into our bigger problem of humanity in a big building? Just curious, sideline.
They are not in town, and they're 2 completely separate.
Okay,
Although part of
thank you. Just curious.
Yeah, the HUD administration of the grant for Ox Creek is directly out of Washington. The
Thank you.
situation taking place with Housing Commission is out of the Detroit regional office.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to ask, is there anything that you need from us?
Not at the moment, but I think the time is going to be approaching in the near future where we will.
Okay. Great.
We're trying to pull brown deals and DDA and everybody into this project at the appropriate point in time.
Okay, good. Thank you. Looks like we can move on then to, where are we? Holiday lights. the library board of trustees meeting took place yesterday, and they're making plans for the celebration that'll take place on December 1st. Our part of this, of course, involves putting up lights downtown, and we could use a committee chair, who is not me, to kind of lead the effort. And so I was hoping the rest of the people would be here so we could speak with them as well about this. But I hate to ask, but Roger, would you be willing? You were interested in serving last year. We didn't get too much together on that, but
Right. Okay, the first meeting is December 1st.
no, that's when we'll do the lighting.
Oh, that's the lighting. Okay.
So, we can back up from there. That's why the date's in there, just so we know. We got to figure out when we will meet ahead of that and what we need to do to plan.
I hate to commit and end up falling through.
Would you be able to give time on the committee?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But as far as for chairing it, having time to do all the actual mechanics that actually is needed to properly do it, I'd rather not get into that. But I definitely will be on the committee.
Wonderful. Thank you. That'll help. At least I expect to be part of that. And I hope that others will be able to help out with it, because as it has been in the previous years, it is a bit of work to get everything organized.
We have some openings for the board itself. We might want to look for some nominees
I think we
to
may
join
be
us.
having some new openings shortly.
right.
Are there still, the lights are still down, are they still downstairs over on water?
No, they're now on the State Theater.
Oh, okay.
And then what we don't have in the theater are located at Youth Build, because they store the lights and the cords and everything to go in the poles. So that's part of what we pay for every year with them. This year we decided to collect all of our stuff and put it at the theater, since we control that space and it's easier for us to get to it when we're ready. So we'll revisit this at next month's meeting. And in the meantime, I think I'll write to the other board members to see who else can join us in making this happen for 2023. So our treasurer, Linda Allen, is here. Would you like to give us an update? And I'm sorry, are you settled, or do you want us to move on and come back?
No, it's here.
Okay.
Our balance in the checking account as of June 30th was $6,362.39. The only activity that we did was actually paying our rent for the container down on, and we're paid up until, we paid July, August, and September's rent, so we're paid up on that. That's $600. So that's where our balance stands. All the funding has been into the account so far. That's where we're at.
We are waiting for a check from Novo for $1,000. I hope we would get it before now, but I happened to see Kathy Pyle at the Planning Commission meeting, and she said that she would work on getting it to us. We expected to have it last month, but we did raise the $1,000 in the challenge, so they're commitment was to match us dollar for dollar. So hopefully we'll get that soon, and be able to use it for whatever's coming next. Richard, do you want to just give us some of your thoughts about the theater?
Happy to see that it was used on a promo page for the master plan, the banner, the marquee.
So if you haven't seen it,
Right.
here's,
I corrected the banner so that it doesn't sag like it was at the time the photo was taken, but I think there's a sign that the State Theater is coming to life, I guess. I spent some time this week weed whacking in front of the theater, and then I went on down in front of Highway Bar, whatever the former name of that place, and then on down to the cleaners because it's perpetually kind of overdue. And I take out my frustrations in this way. And it's my fitness gym and everything else. So that is done. I have been accumulating a list of roofers that might be candidates to seek bids from for the roof, which is really where the project starts. Stabilizing the building. It's not going to fall down. The roof's not going to collapse. The roof is going to suffer if it continues to leak, but I think we've got to stop the big leak on the roof. And then we need to dig into the fundraising and everything else related to rebuilding, putting the building back into good condition. So if nothing else, a patch to stop the holes, or when we find out what the quotes are, we can decide it's going to be way more than our $6,000. Okay. So it could be a patch job, or we can all meet on the roof some Wednesday morning and just shake out a blue tarp. I don't know what. Anyway, we've got work to do there, and we've got to do something. And so I'm bringing in some people who are in the business. That's kind of about it for that. We need to pursue clearing drains where the water's going to go after we get it down. We can just run a hose out to the alley initially. So I think we can make some significant work in whatever X amount of time, no promises, but I will hope to get a few people to take a look at it sometime soon.
do you need any help from the rest of us in that?
I don't think so, but I will definitely ask.
And for anyone who knows people who would like to donate to a good cause, we do have a fund at the Bering Community Foundation. So in addition to our 6,000, we still have some 90,000 plus
That
to
could
draw
come into
on
play, right?
Repair.
for repairs. So that is
That
specifically.
would be a good place, and hopefully a patch job would just put a chip in that.
Right.
But we can get donations, that'll help.
So
What, I mean, you're talking with the 90,000, which was originally 100,000, to do a patch job. Why is it we were not looking to complete the repair?
We want to get quotes, okay? And if the quote is 200,000, some time is going to pass before we have that money to work with, or more. I don't, maybe it's 100. We'll start with a quote and say, what does it take to do the whole job? What does it take to stop the leaks? We'll figure it out.
and then before we do anything, of course, we'll come back for discussion, and so we have options to review and consider. But yes, it seems possible that what little bit we've heard about the roof, that it could be more money than we have to do it because of the type of roof deck it has and the condition of it in places. So it's not simply just laying a membrane on top of what's up there.
It's a little bit of work. I've done some roofs, you know, I could whip it out, but I don't have time. Anyway, how about somebody making a motion that I seek bids to do either a big stop or a little stop?
Sounds good. Are you making a motion?
No, since I'm involved, I'm gonna just sit sidelines. A motion for Richard to seek bids on patch or complete roof costs.
I make the motion.
All right, thank you.
I second it without completely. Yeah, I second it.
I'll submit my motion, well, I'll submit my bid, my request for bids for approval by everybody, maybe mid-meeting, if that is even possible legally. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Mid-meeting,
Sometime before the next one, maybe not.
we can distribute the information or we won't take any action until we meet again.
I will begin the preparation to seek bids, and that's what this motion is signifying in my interpretation.
Okay.
So the motion has been first, second, so
Yes.
maybe
So that was Virgil.
Virgil has second.
Sorry, I'm trying to make notes and follow the conversation.
I'm
So-
going to try to volunteer as secretary to either assistant secretary or something, because the burden is heavy, I know, and we're all trying, but if we're all trying, then we're all doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
all right.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there any more discussion or questions about the motion? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to call for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All, any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you for volunteering. And so fundraising, there is a mini grant that I think would be useful again for holiday lights. So I'd like to pursue that. And we don't really have a committee chair for fundraising. So I put it on here as a discussion item basically, but we need to consider who we can have. This is for fundraising for our projects through the year, separate from capital campaign for the theater. So we're just talking about, possibly doing events or solicitations, that kind of stuff. So
I thought Deidre, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Deidre fundraising, she was going to do an event, but as far as the fundraising piece, no. She was talking about basically what was going to be a social event, not so much fundraising, as she and Kat, the library director, discussed it. There wasn't a fundraising component.
Just a question on that subject. Can a fundraising person be outside of our board, but be,
Sure.
Okay. Maybe we could pursue this Denise or somebody like her out in the community who's really good at that.
Okay. So I'll make a note of that. And I do want a motion, please, to permit us to apply for the Barion Community Foundation mini grant.
The mini grant?
So I,
Yeah, I make the motion for us to apply for the mini grant.
all right, do we
Support.
support? All right, any discussion about it? The date is September 30th. It's on the,
We've gotten that before,
yes,
and it's been specifically for the holiday lights.
yes. So, if that's all the discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. All right, motion carries.
It has to be submitted by the 30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we're kind of done a little bit earlier than usual.
I asked for some time. I'll try and squeeze it in if.
Yeah, please.
All right. I've mentioned these interests previously. Safety, talking Main Street. Well, first thing would be, I'd like to understand, and I should, but if somebody has a map or a definition of what is included in the DDA area, I'd like to have that firm in my mind and have that be able to be understood by everybody while we're seeking a list of who's in it.
Yeah.
Where it is a big part of that. So if somebody can help me out after the meeting, that's fine.
Richard has it, I think that's.
I'm
Yeah.
sure I do too somewhere, but anyway, so safety. I stopped by MDOT office in Coloma yesterday because an MDOT representative was here making a presentation on M139, and I had the chance to ask him whose responsibility it is for safety items, not all, but some on Main Street, and specifically a roundabout that there was a fatal death last fall at, and the curb is still broken, and for a while there were chunks of concrete kind of in the roundabout space. That concrete, I took some and then I put the rest sort of where the curb used to be, but he said that's their responsibility. And so I've got his information. I'll share that with everyone. And they will take action at some point. We'll see. Other items I went through with him were street sweeping. They try to do like a spring cleaning on MDOT. They have responsibility to do that, winter mud and all that. I mentioned the Reith Riley stone spillage, and they said if they know who's responsible, then they seek that party out or those parties out for a cleanup themselves. I called in Reith Riley because the stones were accumulating. I've done that twice last year and once this year. They showed up, like I made a Friday call. They were there on Monday. Really, really responsive and super, really good sweep job. Like pretty much every inch of Main Street, excluding the cutouts for parking, which, talking about that yesterday, that is the city's responsibility. And the city is failing. I understand this new street sweeper is out for repairs or in for repairs, whatever. I don't know. It's kind of rumor, but it's a sore spot, I think, for us keeping Main Street safe, visually appealing, every which way. That's safety in my mind. Sidewalk barricade. There's a. We've talked about that before. For some. Sorry.
Help me out.
Yep.
Why are you doing that if it's the city's responsibility?
I relay to the city, and the city does not even respond. Thank you very much, but do not. I don't hear back. So I have.
Would you have any input on that?
Not really at this point. I would say this now. I might have gotten an email or a notice about
Sure.
it, and I normally would respond to you, but
Sure.
I've got to just tell you honestly, I have been behind now since the hood monitoring visit that was June 12th to June 16th.
Yeah.
I spent the entire week with him. And
I got a couple things to do.
the way my emails come in, the typical day, I could look at one that came in at 10 o'clock in the morning. And if I go back to look at that again at 2 o'clock, it's 4 or 5 pages in.
Yeah, we all have that. I was glad to make a connection with Reith Riley and get their response, and I'll take that responsibility on. I monitor the stones, and I'll call them because they do respond.
We appreciate
And I'll keep you in the loop as much as you're capable of being. I always include City Manager Mitchell as well as Rona, and I will continue to do that. I haven't done it as much as I should because there's a lot of things I see as deficiencies.
I
But
try to,
if we're all being buried, then we all got to dig ourselves out.
and I try to, when I see those things, push them along as much
Right.
as what I can, but I recognize, and Mills constantly reminds me that we're competing with the various areas of responsibility they got. You've got a limited number of people, and they're picking up trash, or should be street sweeping, should be grinding up limbs, should be doing some potholes as they come about, and it's from that same small group of people. So I'm never that satisfied either, but I do have to, work, within the.
Two questions to your last sentence. The chipper and the asphalt. Rumor that the chipper is in disrepair also. I don't need a long answer, but if you have a short one.
I'm unaware.
Okay. And asphalt, the asphalt at City Center Park and the parking lot across the street have resulted in asphalt on 6th Street and right in the entrance to City Hall parking lot here, which I mentioned at a meeting a couple weeks ago. And I don't see any changes to that, but wouldn't that just be call in the contractor and ask them to do a proper job?
It should be.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll send a reminder.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll contact the engineer.
Yeah, okay.
It's also on Wall Street. I mean.
Yeah.
They pulled through the library parking lot, making a
Yeah.
mess of
Right.
stuff.
Just a Wall Street Pipestone.
Wall Street and 6th.
We'll do a survey and I'll make a little bullet point list to you.
Very
Uh,
nice.
Another, I guess, asphalt, not DDA area, but I'll just quickly mention it. The entrance to Gene Clock Park has a cone where there's broken asphalt. I've heard that Gene Clock Park referred to as a cash cow as far as income goes in the summer. I don't know if that's accurate or not because I don't know what the numbers are. But there is we ought to make that park presentable as possible. It's really just that much asphalt missing. And everybody drives in there, which is a lot of people in the summer, and they see a thing in disrepair, and it ought to be shining, right? So-
Where is that?
I'll shoot you a picture.
Okay.
I don't want to explain it right now. A couple other things in the visual and welcoming topic. I've kind of talked about street sweeping. Litter is a constant battle. I picked up, Union Park has litter bins that are frequently found laying on their side due to youthful energy, I guess. It might be the wrong design for a park like that or whatever. And so those are good bins. They're visually appealing and all that. They're heavy. They're hard to even write, but they might be appropriate for Main Street. And I bought some used bins that are presentable in my eye. They're not super good, but they're better than nothing, better than trash that I bought yesterday just to put where I think something is needed to help give the opportunity to do the right thing with trash, which everybody tries, or not everybody, but many people put their trash in a planter or do something other than the ground. But still, there's a lot of things to pick up. So could I suggest, I will in my bullet list, this thinking. ECO, environmental topic. I've mentioned that. I'd like to start a committee, but I'll just roll it in. I believe, Mr. Little, you talked about water and power, or maybe it was just power available in City Center Park. I know there is some.
There's both water and power.
Okay. I don't know where. I guess I do know where there's some power, but there are still generators being used there, which reduce the air quality and add noise, which disrupt the peace of that park. So if we could encourage, if there's any licensing related to a food truck using that space, if we could suggest or guide them toward power, that would be a good move, I think.
We'll have some discussion about that because there's sort of a conflict there. On one hand, we don't necessarily want to supply power.
If you want to supply bad air, we're doing that
But
without
I
asking.
understand, yeah, it's 6 or 1 1/2 dozen the other.
Yeah.
I understand.
I go for the one.
Is it possible, I think that thought wasn't quite completed.
Sure.
The licensing fee, which I know the vendors have to pay a fee in order to have a food truck, could potentially include the cost, or a fee of some sort, a flat fee.
And you're right, it could, but the problem might be that if we do that and we don't have enough plugs for them, then that's another problem.
Maybe we can
We'll take a look at that whole situation.
do a survey or
Right.
something.
And then if at the same time the power along the periphery of the park, we need where the trees are located so that we can light all of the trees going around the square.
Okay.
So maybe there's a project that includes all of those things.
In fact, when you take a look at, when you look at that situation, let's include in it the power you need and where you need it.
Okay, the survey, well, maybe make a proposal for what the city would consider.
Yeah,
For the
Okay.
park.
and just
For
give
the
that
park,
to us,
city
and we'll
center.
start trying to see if we can find a way to do it.
I don't know if there's technology that would allow people to more or less use like metered
That would be
electricity,
at an expense.
if there's such a thing. But, or that they're on during certain hours and off so that the city's protected against just, extravagant overuse. That'd be
I
great.
think, yeah. I had a rewarding sight of probably a homeless person brushing his teeth at the water supplied there. You know, that was a nice thing to see, really. And another guy charging his phone under the pavilion. That's a service, that's a good service to offer. Sorry?
I said the power over there at the pavilion is on now, but when we were doing the lights, that power wasn't on.
We know that. It needs to be checked prior to, well, regularly. How's that sound? So that it works.
Yeah, that's some really good use of the space, actually.
Well,
A topic came up, I guess it might have been in discussions with Jerry Edwards. Oh, it's 12:04. Maybe I'll cut it down. Sorry.
you want to finish your thought and then we'll move on?
In order to help, there are a lot of folks who the easiest place is the place that's right next to them. I've seen litter bins, which are nice litter bins in the Arts District, happen to be on the corner of the Container and that area, Territorial and Fifth. And I've seen that same bag again another day. Somebody just drops
Yeah, I saw
a
it
bag of
yesterday.
their trash neatly in a white bag right on top. The bin's empty, but there's a trash bag on top of it. It's like you're taking your stuff out to the garbage and it's like put it on top of the can. So I've taken a couple of those away. A carpet roll was another example. I always think if we could anticipate needs, I mean, we're talking about a transfer station that may solve problems, that may take 10 years to exist. Should the DDA consider a dumpster? Should the city consider a dumpster for exceptional needs? And sorry,
What's the trash removal for residents that live in the art district?
Well, if you're a business, you are kind of excluded from the dumpster fee that's tacked into water bills and trying to be separated from water bills. If you're a business, you're responsible for your own trash.
But if you're a resident,
Same with the multifamily.
They would usually, well, I don't really know.
The
but I-
multifamilies have to
Would
pay.
it-
Residents
okay.
charge for
Right.
trash pickup.
with their water bills, I'm just saying, what is the
But
trash pickup for
multifamily,
residents in that area?
multifamily buildings do not get free
Right.
trash pickup.
Right, they have to.
They have to rent a bin and hire a service. So single family, it's different because we all pay towards the water bill. And on the water bill, you pay for that. But commercial properties do not receive free trash pickup or pay for it on their water bills.
So they have to have trash bins.
So they have to have trash bins.
Also,
And so for people who don't empty them or who don't regularly provide them, or they're not convenient, we apparently have someone who's decided to adopt the one on
absolutely.
Fifth Street.
Absolutely.
So,
Why would they not?
Anyway,
Yeah,
that's,
as
Yeah.
I mentioned before, and it continues to be a problem, the city's general fund just does not have money. And part of the reason it doesn't have money is nobody's paying for anything here, the way you pay in other cities. Nobody pays for parking, we're not getting paid water bills, trash or sewer, and we can't enforce ordinances because nobody wants to have us penalize anybody and make them have to pay anything. So we got a few problems.
I have a question, and you might know. There's a dumpster that is just the other side of the fire department there, just beyond the entrance to the fire department driveway. I don't know whose bin that is, but sometimes I see furniture in it. Whose is that?
I'm not certain, but I believe that's the apartments that are in that building
Oh.
there.
Okay, the building on the other side.
The last I knew that, the building right on the corner.
Yes, yes.
I guess other question related to your,
Yeah, that
Barbershop
building.
is-
Yeah, with the apartment.
Yeah, the apartments.
Oh, okay.
it's little used and sometimes overused. Just one other question, if I can squeak it in before we start our training. You said we don't have money. We spend a lot of money on picking up dumping.
A fortune.
Okay, so you said a fortune. Huh.
And
How
we
about
don't get
half
it
of-
back because nobody's paying.
How about half a fortune for a dumpster that is a receptacle for trash that we welcome the use of, as opposed to sending people out and paying them a fortune? Just a thing to think about.
When I mention that, I'm referring to the actual cans that are rolled out, the orange bins that we send people out to pick up, fill up
Sure.
the backer and haul it up.
Well, we also pick up dumpings, and we still have that dumping problem.
Yes, we do.
And I just think there might be a 6-month certificate to go out to Orchard Hill for residents. Some way to think about that in a bigger picture than we can't afford a solution.
See, they're gonna charge us $55 a ton regardless of how it comes. It doesn't matter, what.
If you
bring it out or whatever.
well, good to know that. And let's move on with our training on zoning.
I'm gonna.
For those of you who can